everybody, welcome back. So you can see I'm just using some spheres and cylinders and I'm blocking out the shape of an arm. Now I'm going to connect the cylinders to the spheres in the left hand side menu. You'll see the little small yellow sort of arrow that connects them to each other. That means that the top one I'm using the spheres will be able to use as an anchor point, and when you move that, the rest of the parts that are connected to it will move along with it. So you can see here I've got a shoulder joint and an elbow joint where I can just freely move around, and the whole forearm's going to move with it, and then the shoulder, because everything's connected, will move everything as it just did. Now when I'm happy with the position, I'm just going to join everything together and then voxel mesh it, and then after I've smoothed it down, I'm just going to select a portion of it here using the mask select. Could have used just the line there, but whatever. Now I've extracted that, I'm going to inflate it slightly, and I'm going to extract it, and that's sort of the basis for the sleeve, because today we're going to be doing some cloth textures. Now I'm just making sort of a basic cuff for the sleeve, and that's pretty much it. That's pretty much the basics done. When you've joined everything together and they're in separate parts, you can still move them individually. So now I've connected them all together. If I use the drag brush, it will move them all together and squash them all around. But if you use the move brush, it will actually move the parts still independently, as though you haven't combined them. So that can be really useful. Until you've also remeshed it, you still have that option. So it's a little tip for you there. Now I'm just using the move brush, and I'm just sort of moving around the shape just to give it a sort of more of a sleeve look. There's a couple of different ways I'm going to do this today. The first one is using the inflate brush with stability, and I'm just basically drawing in the creases of the sleeve. Nice and simple. If you're unsure where to put creases, just look at reference, look at someone with a coat, put a coat on yourself, take a few photographs. It's not difficult. Once I'm happy with sort of the main shapes that I've got and the creases, again, I'm just doing it off the top of my head. I'm not really using any reference. I've done it a few times now, so I'm just sort of giving you an idea. Once I'm happy with the main ones, then I've inverted the same brush, and I'm just going to sort of refine the creases in between the lines that I've just drawn. So that will puff out, that will protrude the creases even more. Now I'm just using a damn standard. So it's a crease with stability, and I'm just drawing in the join marks for the joining seam for the fabric. After that, I'm just using a alpha, and that's just a stitch that I made myself in Procreate. You can see in the left hand side it's just two rectangles, one above the other. Again, you have to mess around with the settings, mess around with the spacing and stability to get a decent result. So you can see now that's pretty much that's the basic sort of form for a sleeve. Remember, you help me out, like, subscribe, hit the bell. Now I'm just doing the other way that I sometimes do fabric creases or even veins, and that's going to be using the masking brush. So I've just done exactly the same thing. I've just masked off a section of it. I've extracted it, and I'm just moving it using the move brush to get the basic shape of the sleeve again. You can see there in the settings. If you want to pause the video, you can see what sort of settings my brushes and things are on. Now I'm just using a mask with stability. Always use stability if you want to get nice crisp lines, just helps. And again, I'm just drawing in the creases. I'm not going to have symmetry on. I want it to be obviously different both sides. Don't be lazy. And I'm just getting the basic shapes and the directions of the creases. Now I'm going to invert that and blur it up quite a few times so it sort of looks like that, and then we're going to use the inflate, and we're going to just inflate the parts. the unmasked part. Now you can see there that the creases are pretty good. The only problem with this is now that you have to smooth off the edges, so just so you get a better transition into the cloth itself. It looks a lot more natural and smoother. Now you can see it obviously takes a little bit more work than using the inflate brush. Honestly, I don't really see much of an advantage or disadvantage to either. I think you get the same sort of result with both of them. You can make sort of a creased alpha, so you could have quite a few crease lines drawn out and just pull them out rather than drawing it on one at a time. Inflate it, and then just smooth it down like I'm doing here in the corners. So once I'm sort of happy with that, happy-ish, I'm going to go back into, this time it's with the damn standard, I believe. I'm going to give that raised sort of double look. And then I've got a different kind of stitch, which is the same that I had before, but it has another double stitch on either side of it. And I'm just going to run that down the edge. Ideally, this was an afterthought. If you're going to do that, ideally you want to be doing that sort of, and then trying to mask that off before you put any textures into the cloth, because it will affect the stitches. Oh, that went pretty quick. So now you can see I've just masked off the part that I want the torn fabric to be, so it's going to show the skin underneath. So I've just masked that off, sucked it into inflated it or deflated it, and then I've just kept the mask there, and I've pulled out the cloth away from the edge of it. Now I'm just using an alpha roll, basically, with a fabric pattern. You can get these patterns everywhere. All over the internet, just type in alpha, anything you want basically, and you should get a black and white image. You can use that as a mask. Now I'm just using the damn standard on a really small setting, and I'm just going in and putting some fine detail into the torn fabric. I did this sort of on the Nomad. And again, if you don't want to mess around doing each sort of individual tear, you can use a combination of alphas and sort of doing it by hand. I'm always try to sort of follow the groove or the grain in the fabric that I've already laid down. You don't want to be crisscrossing away. Remember, what you're trying to achieve is still fabric, it's still cloth. You know, you can get so far with Nomad. Actually, you know, you could get very far with Nomad. If I really wanted to, I could export just one piece into a separate project and probably run it up to like 40 to 50 million vertices with no problem at all on my iPad. So yeah, you can keep going and going with this. So you can see now, basically, you've got texture everywhere, you've got a nice crease, you've got the fold lines in there. It's looking pretty good for not much work. So, yeah, I've said it was going to be a quick one. I hope you've learnt something. Thank you very much for watching. The minute we've got some exciting things coming on Patreon. Printforge is still the man of the hour. Thanks for watching, guys. Ciao for now.